So what I'm saying is that people make mistakes. The president can make a mistake. I think this is a political mistake. I want him to see him protecting the vice president more. But if he's not going to do that, huwag na tayong magkunwarian, di ba? The vice president has been devoted to this administration. She has been devoted to the president. She lent credibility. She lent gravitas. She lent the weight of her popularity to this administration. But I think na malaking pagkakamali kung iisipin ng administrasyon na dispensable na ang vice-presidente. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Umaga po sa inyo. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Kasi dito, it's 9:30 ng gabi. So, kumusta naman po ang lahat? Kumusta po kay Ma'am Michelle at saka kay CRNTV? Wanted to go live today kasi a lot of the things that I want to express, hindi po talaga ko ma-embody, masyado akong maraming iniisip sa sa regular na written na post. So, in the meantime, wag pong kakalimutan, like tayo, share, follow sa Luminous Facebook, follow sa Trixie Cruz Angeles na page sa Facebook, at saka subscribe dun sa YouTube channel Luminous by TCA and AGP. Okay. Yesterday, kadidiscuss lang po natin ng malaking possibility dahil sa pasabog ni Congresswoman Franz Castro, na malaking possibility at the time of the pending impeachment or impeachment proceedings against the Vice President. Alright. So, and then, almost immediately din, nag-live tayo. Marami nang sasalita online, di ba? But bago pa nagsalita si Congresswoman Franz, may mga ugong-ugong na. Lakas na ng ugong. Days before, we were already hearing the possibility that some congressmen were considering filing an impeachment proceeding against the Vice President. Ngayon, hi kay Randy, Orange, Marian, Weng, Saldi, and Noel. Okay, and then, yun na nga, na-confirm ni Congresswoman Franz. And so, kahit noon pa lang, nagtatanungan na ang mga tao, there were a lot of people, in fact, who were sending me messages, tsaka nagtatanong sa live natin, ano ba daw ang nangyayari? Bakit daw may mga ugong o may nagsasabi na posibleng mag-file ng impeachment complaint kay Vice President Inday? Ngayon, for me, even a rumor this serious, particularly when it comes to the Vice President shortly after her issue with the confidential funds, mayroong ganitong bulong-bulong. And then, yun na nga, nagsalita si Congresswoman Franz. So, hours. Can you imagine? It was just a matter of hours. Nung biglang nag-statement, nung nagkaroon ng statement bigla si Majority Floor Leader, na walang ganun. Super deny. Tapos natawa ako kasi yung pagka-deny, talagang kumakaripas mag-deny. Atras. Okay? And sorry, may nagme-message sa akin. So, ayun, kumakaripas ang ilang mga opisyales natin. But in this whole brouhaha, two people were suspiciously very silent. The President and the House Speaker himself. Now, the President, understandable pa. One, it's not his chamber. He is not a legislator. But my question is, nobody thought to ask him his opinion. Nobody thought to ask his officials during any, kung sa bagay, hindi naman nagpa-press conference or nagpa-press briefing ang mga opisyales ngayon, and it seems people are so secretive. Gayon pa man, the media being what they are, they could very well have asked, "Oh, Madam Secretary, oh, so and so, nasa na yung ano po ang opinyon ninyo o ano ang opinyon ng ating Pangulo tungkol dito sa malaking ugong?" At yun na nga, nung kinonfirm ni Congresswoman Franz Castro na pinag-uusapan ng impeachment, wala man lang nagtanong. And speaking from experience, alam ko na maitatanong yan. Now, sige, let's give the president a free pass because it's not his chamber. He's not a legislator. And we know that an impeachment proceeding begins in Congress. All right, Congress. The speaker was suspiciously silent. And ang nagsasalita, of course, Congresswoman France, and then later on, Majority Floor Leader. Wala man lang, the speaker takes every opportunity to to be in the, how do you call this, to be with the media, to make statements. And as a matter of fact, I'm still a little amused by his last statement that went, "Titindig ako," which sounded so sincere. Diba? So sincere. Sincere talaga. Very sincere. Oh my gosh, so sincere. Did I say he was sincere? Yun, sincere nga. Sige. And people were treating it like it was simply a rumor. Not true. And so, what is the point in this? What's the in this? This is huge news. Okay, this is huge news. But what we know, and speaking from, kumbaga, first person, from, well, from speaking to certain members of the legislature who prefer to remain anonymous, or to their staff, we know that it wasn't. Oy, Chay, sino may sabing lumipat ako? Tumigil ka dyan. Kahit nung sekretary ako, nakakausap ko rin si Presidente Duterte. Tumigil ka sa fake news na yan, lumipat. I never did. Tumigil ka dyan. Kaloka. Ano na naman, you want me to fit into the cubbyhole that you're making for me? I will not. I refuse to do that. And I will refuse to be characterized by you, of all people. My goodness. Ba? Sino yan? So, lumipat na pala. Excuse me, lumipat. My goodness. Ha! What little you know of me and what little you have followed any of the news here, andito ka lang siguro para magsalita ng ganyan, para makapanira just like every other troll. My goodness. Anyway, the point being is that we received information from several, some from legislators, some from their staff, some from their friends, and so on, was that there really was a lot of talk about it. There really were plans in the offing about it. There really was serious discussion about it. But the problem with the discussion is that although they had they were already formulating the basis and all that, what they did not count on, and these people are always very careful, listening. Okay, they use they monitor social media. So, they're always monitoring social media. They have staff to monitor what the comments are. And they knew at the earliest instance that they were in for bad afternoon. Because, isa ba daw akong counsel ni General Bantag? No, I haven't been asked. Well, I understand that they wanted to get me, but that was a rumor. That's a rumor. Hindi po kami nakakapag-usap ni General Bantang even before. Okay. Pero, I know who he is, he knows who I am. So, ayan, naglabasa na yung mga may first hand knowledge about of course, I supported this president as well. But that doesn't mean I stopped being, a supporter of the president, of President Duterte. And in fact, as secretary, I paid a visit because I had to inspect our offices in Davao and I had to pay a courtesy call, both to Mayor Baste and to the former president. Not only that, um, ano ba 'to? Not only that, when I continued to support the children's cancer ward in Davao, and up to this day, whenever I can, whenever I'm in Davao, may pinapadala kaming suporta doon. Kaya kung meron diyang gustong mag-fake news na palipat-lipat ako, tumigil ka diyan, wala kang alam. Okay? And why was that possible? Because this president had promised continuity. This president was fully aligned with the former president. And so it was possible for us to reconcile these two sides, even as active officials of the BBM administration, just like Inday Sara Duterte. Diba? Of course, syempre malayo naman tayo kay Ma'am Inday. But we did we did that. We did our best. Kaya tigil-tigilan mo ko, ha? Huwag kayong mag-ano. If you're going to come in and fall, be sure, ha? Ano sabi nila? Pag sure, uy. So, we know that it was serious discussion. We know that there were serious plans. The problem, uy, the problem here was that they were not quite prepared for the rumblings that they were already hearing. Rumblings that people were going to rise as in stand up, be sure to be heard about our intention to continue to protect the Vice President. Kasi, para sa akin regardless ah, kung, kung maka-BBM ka o FPRD, everybody loves Inday or ought to because she was part of the tandem. It was BBM Inday. Di ba? So if you are a supporter of BBM, hell, why aren't you supporting or you ought to be or should be? And in fact, a lot had spoken up to support this president and to support this vice president. Okay, so in fact, a little more than the president. But anyway, these people, a lot of the people who continue to support BBM, also continue to support the vice president. And so, kumbaga, itong mga parinig nila na it seems to me that some of the congressmen had just gotten a bit too cocky. They have just gotten a bit too, ano bang tawag dan? Oy, namimihasa na kayo. Kumbaga, as they say, pamimihasa na ito. Akala nila they scored a victory with questioning Vice President Inday's confidential fund. But those of us who know and those of us who continue to talk about it understand that this is a ploy. We see right through it. Alam naman natin, kumbaga, wait, kunwari pa kayo. Bakit pa kayo nagkukunwarian na kunwari concerned kayo dun sa confidential funds? The Vice President, as Secretary of Education, has been very vocal about protecting the learners. She's been very vocal about her concern about local terrorism. She has been very vocal from the start about protecting the weakest members of society, in particular those who are minors who are under her care. So, wala namang ganyanan. na, na na ngayon kayo nagugulat kayo na may CF si VP Inday, nagugulat kayo, suddenly you're asking saan nyo ba ginastos? And then suddenly nagtatanga-tangahan kayo about about the nature, the confidentiality of this fund. No, I don't think it was testing the waters, Sir Francis Afable. They really were serious. It was not a trial balloon. They wanted to do this and they just got the shock of their life. That oops, wait a minute, this might not be a battle they can win. Because they can, they can push through with it. They can do all of that. They can throw bells and whistles at VP Inday. But there are things that can be moving in the background that they are not seeing. Because, up until now, a lot of us have taken our cue from the vice president. Okay, as long as the vice president is with BBM, we will be objective about this government. We will support when they are doing the right things. We will, as long as they're doing it right. And VP Inday standing beside the president is one of the strongest messages ever. Para sa atin, andyan pa si VP Inday. Hindi siya umaalis sa tabi ni BBM. Therefore, she still believes in this administration. Tinira niyo si Inday eh. Di ba? You attack the one person who is actually standing in the way of a lot of people's anger. Hindi lang talaga, a lot of people who support this presidency and the vice presidency understand that they stand together. If they try to take down the vice president, talo-talo tayo. Because she gave this administration a lot of credibility. I'm not saying she's the sole person making things credible, but hell, her voice is the loudest even when she wasn't talking. Basta katabi ni VP Inday ang presidente, kampante pa tayo. And ako, personally, I took my cue from the vice president. Di siya nagsasalita ng diretsa against the president. Fine, I will not say anything because I respect, I hold in high esteem what the vice president thinks. And if she thinks that things are still okay, then sige, I trust her. I trust when she just stands there with the president, every time she sees him off, every time they meet up, the vice president's support of this president is the only endorsement that I need at this moment. But the moment his allies, the president's allies, started attacking the vice president, talo-talo tayo. Ano pa? There are a lot of things that we're seeing that are going wrong in this administration. We attack the policy, but we never question the wisdom of the president so far or his discretion in making these appointments, in approving these policies, in approving these activities, because the vice president stands by him. Now, take her away from the equation. Talo-talo tayo. The gloves will be off. I hope they understand that. Okay? I hope that they understand that. Alam mo, CR and TB, sabi mo, you want to raise the issue of official trips and that the vice president is in charge. How much power can the vice president really exercise even if she is left in charge? Sabihin niya nga sa akin, how is this? Are you proposing this as evidence na okay pa that the president is still supporting the vice president? Ako, I disagree. Here is my evidence. The president is no longer fully supportive of the vice president because, number one, it was the office of the president that released a letter that had her asking for additional confidential funds. Now, that letter could have been treated with confidentiality. That letter was not subject to FOI. Okay? That letter, was the one that opened the floodgates to all of these discussions on confidential funds. That's number one. Number two, the whole time that the vice president was battling this issue, the office of the president, which had released the funds to the office of the vice president, did not say a single word to defend her or to protect her. Yeah? Second, not a single word of support. How do we know that this lack of voicing out any support is important? When the House Speaker was under fire for supposedly not being in Yolanda when the storm hit or in the day after and so on, who stood up to defend him, even mistaking the dates of his presence? in Tacloban? The president himself. Yeah, he actually included in his speech the support for the House Speaker at this time. It wasn't even that big a deal, or at least it wasn't a big deal yet. It was the anniversary of Yolanda, yes, but it it could have been, he could have ignored the issue completely, let the House Speaker speak for himself and explain where he was. The president's voice was superfluous in that matter. He didn't have to. It wasn't going to change his ratings, his popularity, or anything like that. The House Speaker is in no danger of being deposed. There's no attempt to remove the House Speaker at all. Why was it even necessary to protect him? He was not under fire in any serious way. There's a lot of talk, but was that even necessary? And so when you put those two things together, the lack of anything he said, zero, silence with regard to the issues of the vice president, and all of these folksy, charming achuchuchu about where his cousin was during Yolanda, it's yeah, it's pretty clear. And here we have the Makabayan Bloc filing a petition before the Supreme Court on the issue of CF. Who holds the reins in the House? The House Speaker has such profound influence on the members of Congress that he can actually tell Makabayan, what are you doing? Stop that. For the sake of the peace. He could, but does he? Now, I'm not saying that we should hate on this president. Far from it. He's the president, he's the leader of this country. Like it or not, he represents us. He represents this country. But nothing but part of our obligation as citizens, bilang mga mamamayan, mahalaga na naririnig tayo. Di ba? Mahalaga ang kritisismo. Mahalaga ang feedback nating mga kababayan. Bakit? Tayo nagbigay ng power dyan sa mga nakaupong yan eh. Tayo ang nagbigay sa kanila ng karapatan maghari-harian kung naghahari-harian. Tayo ang nagbigay ng opisina, tayo nagbabayad ng kanilang sweldo, lahat ng ginagamit nila, maging kung ano man yan, ay courtesy of the Philippine taxpayers. So, what I'm saying is that people make mistakes. The president can make a mistake. I think this is a political mistake. I want him to see him protecting the vice president more. But if he's not going to do that, wag na tayong magkunwarian, di ba? The vice president has been devoted to this administration. She has been devoted to the president. She lent credibility. She lent gravitas. She lent the weight of her popularity to this administration. But I think na malaking pagkakamali kung iisipin ng administrasyon na dispensable na ang vice-presidente. What do? We remind our honorable officials kung saan po nanggagaling yung mandato nila. Sabi ni Luri, it's no longer a mistake. Intentional na kasi, paulit-ulit. I agree. But I still am holding the hope that the president will read the signs and say, okay, oops, making a mistake here, let's get back in line. But if not, if they refuse to acknowledge this mistake, itong attempt ng Kongreso ought to be their wake-up call. Maswerte pa sila di nagsasalita si VP Inday. But I think that lahat ng tao may hangganan ng pasensya. Huwag natin intayin na si VP Inday ang maubusan. Or worse, Baka mauna pa nga tayo maubusan ng pasensya eh. Alam nyo, binoto namin po kayo kasi naniniwala kami dun sa vision ninyo. Naniniwala kami dun sa mga binenta nyo sa aming mga pangako. Pinanghahawakan pa rin namin lahat ng mga sinasabi ninyo. Ngunit sa araw-araw nakikita po namin na hindi po ito totoo. Imbis na yun ang nangyayari, nag-hire kayo ng tolls. Nag-hire kayo ng PR. Ang ginagamot ninyo sa problema ng bayan, public, press release. Parang itong si Chaleco, kung nanonood kayo ng Karambola, alam niyo kung sino yon. Parang itong si Chaleco, hay, may problema dun sa sa bentahan, sa trading ng ng bigas, sa trading ng mga gulay na tayo mismo ang nagpapalaki at binebenta, sa itlog, sa presyo ng itlog, presyo ng manok, presyo ng baboy. Anong pinire-radyo nila? Nag-inspeksyon kami ng palengke. Press release na nag-inspeksyon ng palengke. Kaloka. Kaya ni Presidente yung pagsabihan yan. Sasabihin na lang niya, Mr. Secretary, utang na loob, those were not my marching orders. Ayun, tama. Ang gamot, PR at ayuda. Ayuda? Bakit? Pinagsasanay na sila para sa darating na eleksyon. Yan yun eh. Wala ngang vote buying dito, dami namang ayuda. Para-paraan tayo, di ba? Pag nasana yung mga tao, tumatanggap na lang ng pera, imbis na yung tunay na solusyon sa problema, panandali ang aliw ba? Di ba? Aliw. Panandali ang satisfaction. Ay pinagsasamantala lang ng mga tao ng mga opisyales yung gutom ng tao. Siyempre kung ano yung nandyan, tatanggapin nila. Ay, ito eh, kakain na ako, gutom na ako, tatanggapin ko yan kasi makakakain ako. Pero masosolve yung problema, makakakain ka ba bukas? Hindi, pero hindi nila nakikita yan. Ayun, sabi ni Ma'am Ana, nakakainis ang ayuda, parang limos lang. Eh ano pa nga ba? Pero hindi lang yan limos. Limos slash bribe-ish. Bribe quote-unquote in the sarcastic sense. Inaagahan lang yung vote buying po. Ni David, diyan kasi sila sumisikat sa ayuda. But again and again, I will say this, yung ayuda, panandalian yan. May mga nagsasabi, may nakita ko dun sa sa comment dun to sa Luminous. Inayos muna yung short-term solution. Short-term solution lang naman yan. Habang inaayos ang sistema, excuse me, isang taon na, magdadalawang taon na po tayo, ano na nangyayari sa inyo? Meron ng ganda ng plano, nasa unang zona, checkin nyo lang. Andun na lahat, may blueprint ang Pangulo. May nasunod ba? Doesn't look like it. Maswerte nga sila, hindi nagsasalita pa si Inday. So sa ngayon, nagtsatsaga tayo. Ini-criticize natin yung mga mali na pulisiya. Ni-criticize natin pag napapariwara ang ating mga cabinet secretaries. Pag hindi nakakadulot, nakakabigay ng tunay na development o tunay na solusyon sa mga problema ng bayan. Ay nako. Sabi ni Benchmark Nab, sumantay lang si PBBM sa popularidad ng mga Duterte, sayang pagtitiwala ng taong bayan. Sabi ni Ray, I think it's intentional talaga na siraan si VP Sara para hindi na siya makaporma sa 2028 elections. Pero nagtataka ako bakit tahimik si BBM as if naguhugas kamay siya. Bakit kaya? I think that it's strategic. He can let other people do the talking. That way he doesn't have to explain. Pero para sa akin, I think hindi rin naman ito yung basa ko dyan. The president is still conflicted about this. Malakas ang pressure dun sa panig niya, sa mga nakapaligid niya na, laglag niyo na yan. Presidente na tayo, di na siya kailangan. I'm very sure those are the words. Okay? Laglag niyo na yan, di na natin yan kailangan. Nasa poder na tayo. Ano pa? And one of these days, maybe we should start listening to Attorney Glenn. Not sure yet, Sabi ni Francis, no offense to Amy, but it seems she's the insurance of her family. Alam mo, I don't think that it's that simple. Si Senator Amy has been consistent and nakakausap ko siya direktahan. At matagal na siyang nagsasalita and she has been sending out all these warnings even before. Siya nga ay alam niyo yung ano, nakakaawa na nga eh. Dahil, ano sabi niya tungkol sa bigas? Ay nako, suko na ako. Hindi ko maintindihan talaga nangyayari. Kumbaga, it defies sense. Isipin mo, nagpataas ka ng ano, nagpababa ka ng taripa, dumami ang mga imports, ang mura-mura ng pagbili natin ng mga bigas sa farmers. Ano nangyayari? Pagdating dun sa palengke, hala, 54 pesos and up. Ano yan? Alam mo, okay. Yung mga ganitong salita, naiintindihan ko na gusto nating maniwala na, may plano yan si VP, and sure na sure akong ganyan. You know what happens when you say that? Until may ebidensya tayo, wag natin i-assume yan. You know why? Because when you say that, people might not stand up to help her. Parang sasabihin ng mga tao, hindi, kaya na yan ni Inday. And that's what you're saying. No, I don't want people to think that because she needs every single person on her side that we can spare. We need her 32 million to stand up. Wag tayong kampante. Yun ang punto ko. This is the last hope that we're holding. Lahat ng mga dating aligned or related kay former President Duterte, either sumakabilang bahay na o sumakabilang bakod na or tinanggal na sa pwesto sa gobyerno. It's perfectly fine as a political solution. Kasi, syempre, kung ikaw ang presidente at ikaw ang nasa administrasyon, ay gugustuhin mo ang nakapaligid sa'yo ay mga taong pinagkakatiwalaan mo. But that also sends strong message. Hindi sila nagtitiwala kay former President Duterte kahit nung panahon pa lang na wala pang sinasabi o wala pang sinasalita ang dating Pangulo. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Sabi ni Reggie, nakalimutan ata ni PBBM kung di dahil kay FPRD di siya mananalo at tatay niya wala ngayon sa libingan ng mga bayani. Oo, totoo yan. Pero hindi ako naniningil ng ganyan eh. Simpleng bagay lang. Ito yung taong hinikayat nilang iboto natin. Diba? Sila din, diba? In the same way that the VP ay naghikayat sa mga tao na iboto si Presidente BBM, si Presidente BBM din sinabi, iboto nyo ito si VP Inday. Kasi naalala ko yan eh, may mga konting alitan din dun sa dalawang kampo. Minor, very minor. At pinatahimik ni then candidate BBM ang mga nag-criticize at nagsabing, hindi ko ito kakayanin kung hindi ko kasama at kagabay at katabi si Inday Sara Duterte. So, natakot sila, but natakot sila for now. It means they weren't prepared. But does that mean they're going to stop trying? I wouldn't count on it. We should not trust the people who are planning this sort of the people with this sort of malicious intent. We do not. Hindi dapat natin sila pinagkakatiwalaan any farther than we can throw a piano. Diba? We can't trust them to do that. Neither can the Vice President afford to keep trusting them again. Tayo, we should not. And we should always be ready. We should be ready to be heard. And kailangan pinaririnig, pinayayanig natin ang kahit anong forum na nandun tayo. Ito po. In the same way that we are compelled to support the President because he is the President, we fully support the Vice President. There is nothing in her demeanor, in her actions, or in her words that merits a move like this impeachment move. It is clearly politically motivated. It is nothing but a naked power grab. Uy, ayan na po. Okay, handa na ba po tayo? Why is it that Sara supporters have a Cinderella complex? Uy, Cinderella complex. Ano yan, nagkukuskus din kami ng kusina. Abay, oo, talaga naman nag-uugas ako ng pinggan. Bakit ba? That she has one foot in the presidency Ay, darling, naintindihan mo ba kung anong ibig sabihin ng one heartbeat away from the presidency? Baka hindi. If your grammar is as bad as if your logic is as bad as your grammar, then it's not likely. She has 1 foot won the presidency. The 2028 election is a coronation. What is that entitlement? So, under what rock have you been hiding? Huh? Really? So you don't understand what happened during the negotiations for who was going to run? Whose candidacy they were going to talk about in the 2022 elections? This is pure and unadulterated horse manure. Sana maayos ni Senator Icymi yung issue sa Smartmatic. Alam mo, David, hope is not a strategy. Sabi ni Dan, pag makalibre ako, iikot ako sa mga BBM vloggers. No need. Right, sabi ni Betchay, we do not know what's at the back of their minds. Let's not be caught sleeping. Sabi ni Noor, share para marinig sa buong mundo na sinisira at sinasaktan ang VP natin. Share guys, para ma-enlighten sila. Yes. The call is for vigilance. They tried this, now they will try it again. You know what happens when the vice presidency is vacant? What happens? Hindi aangat ang Senate President. Hindi yan ang succession. The President will choose from a member of Congress or the Senate who will be the Vice President. The President will choose. There's no election. There's no succession. The President will choose. That's what happens when it is the Vice Presidency that is vacant. So, don't forget that. Ang nakakainis, may time silang manira kasi madami pang pwede silang gawin bago ang 2028. Maybe. Now, may nagsasabi na itong impeachment at chuchu ay ay distraction lang daw dun sa sa issue ng, sa issue ng transparency, yung extraordinary fund daw ng Kongreso and so on. Hindi po. For a fact, I know that that's not true. They weren't trying to distract us. They really were trying to remove her. Yun lang yun. At least this is what it looked like from my point of view and from the information that I got. Yes, they were serious, but now they're serious that they know. Ang sabi pa nga ng iba na mga taga-kongreso, kulang po ang boto. Maraming magdi-disappear, maraming hindi nakakapag-commit. Kiss of death Ngayon, ang iba sa kanila, out and out, sinasabi na nila, hindi na kami nagsusuporta kay Inday, dito na kami kay House Speaker, as if naman there was a choice between those two. Pero sige, ayaw nila kay Inday, fine. There's a difference between saying ayaw nila kay Inday and actually casting a vote for impeachment. Iba yun. Ibang usapan yon. Sabi ni Michael, tiwala ni VP kay President BBM. If need na magsalita ni BBM, si Sara pa. Alam niyo naman kung gaano ka-prangka si VP. Need na magsalita. Teka ba, parang mali. There's something wrong in your statement. Alam mo, Azil, anong how come ang tinatanong ninyo? You're asking me why? Does there have to be a why? Do you need to understand the why? They're doing it. That's it. Sabi ni Rex, could be a strategy to piss off the VP so she'll resign at an instant. No, it would not be a strategy. That's a tactic. That's why gusto nilang ilaglag si VP Inday because sure si Romualdez pipeline ni BBM. So sad talaga nagsisisi ka. What do you mean? Why this early? Why is the timing suspect? What do you mean, why this early? Syempre, the earliest that they can, their own people surrounding them, all of their people holding all of the levers of power at the earliest possible time. Hindi ba gugustuhin mo din yun? Why would they wait? Kung sa tingin nila, they have enough power to do it, why would any person wait? Sabi ni Bernard, gusto nila mawala ang mga Duterte's picture. I don't doubt that somewhere in the back of their minds they do. Because whoever is forming this coalition of the majority, of course, uh, they will want to consolidate power. Alam mo, natural yan. Lahat naman ng kung sino man ang nakaupo, gusto nila i-consolidate yung power nila. At syempre, gagawa at gagawa ng hakbang. Ang problema dito is that the Vice President has done nothing to merit this distrust. She has done nothing to merit this kind of aggression. Kasi she has been supportive from day zero. This is an interesting theory. VP impeachment issue ay gawa ng mga anti-BBM. Para lalo lang gatungan na warakin ng BBM-VP Sara tandem. At strategy din ng mga DDS dilawan para maging lalong kawawa si VP Sara sa paningin ng mamamayan. Are you really going to ignore all the evidence? Problema sa inyo, gusto ninyo, you're blind to the evidence eh. Kung how do you explain the lack of support? Huh? How do you explain the fact that the House Speaker could have put a stop to all this talk, even at the start, so that to the point that Congresswoman France would never have gotten to say this? We know that the talk had been happening for days before Congresswoman France Castro actually said anything. Pati ang CF na yan. Naniniwala si PBBM noon. O sige, kaya nga nireleasean si VP Inday. Did he support the VP on the CF issue? No. Sabihin nyo na ang gumawarak ay mga anti-BBM. Meron bang anti-BBM? Ang sinasabi mo, the pro-Saras are anti-BBM? Are you saying that the DDS are anti-BBM? Oy, bumoto kami kay BBM, tumigil ka dyan. Sa tingin ninyo, kaya ninyong ihiwalay yung mga bumoto dun sa presidente at bumoto dun sa vice president? Hindi po. Hindi mutually exclusive group yan. Naniwala sa unity ang mga botante. So, as if. What you're doing is you're trying to reconcile kasi two opposing ideas. Follow the evidence. And the evidence is the plain and unadulterated fact that the president did not support the vice president when she was having this crisis. To the point that she said, sige, wag na mag-CF. Where is the support? The support that was guaranteed by the president to the vice president so that she can undertake her functions. Nasaan yan? Sasabihin ninyo na outside forces na anti-BBM pa yung gumagawa. Ano yung panig ng presidente? We support the president. He's the president of this country. But why did they not even try to protect the vice president when she was facing Congress? Saan nagsimula? Ikaw nagtanong, ikaw din sumagot. Saan nagsimula ang lahat dito dahil sa SMR outstore plot? How do you know that it didn't start even before that? How do you know? Ha? At ano yung role ni VP Inday dyan? Nag-intervene lang siya to protect GMA. And by the way, it is also in the interests of the president to protect GMA because she helped broker that deal. The deal that saw VP Inday running with the president. So, ang tanong dito, saan nakakuha ng lakas ng loob ang House Speaker to do this, to be this aggressive? Are you still on your Are you still on your theory? I don't think I want to dictate to the vice president what her strategy or tactics are going to be. She will be in the better position to do that. Ako, alam niyo, sa totoo lang, I'm not even counting FPGMA in the equation anymore. She has her own problems. Kinasuhan siya. Diba? And twice siyang dinemote. First demoted from senior deputy speaker and then removed from deputy speakership. And then kinasuhan siya. Kumbaga, what they're trying to do is to keep her from interfering, to keep her from whatever it is that they want to keep her from. It's going to be busy. And ako, personally, while I like GMA and I understand that the former president, and this is where hindi kami magkaan talaga ni Presidente Duterte noon, hindi ako fan ni GMA. I'm not a critic either. I'm not an enemy. And we already had dinner and lunch several times where we talked about certain things. But on her strategies, her main strategy right now is to disappear. Her main strategy right now is to cooperate, to be to appease. Clearly it's not working anymore. Because clearly her strategy or her tactics of appeasing the House Speaker, the House leadership, is not working. They're not going to leave her alone, and they're not leaving the Vice President alone either. Sabi ni KF Shish, aside from vigilance, I think the best thing we can do is to vote every single candidate VP Inday will endorse in 2025. Yes. We need to put people in Congress and Senate who would support VP Inday in 2028. Yes. And 2025, by the way. Sabi ni Moses, ang nakakabahala dito ay they are that stupid to act this way at an early stage. I don't think it's stupid. I think it's complacent, but not necessarily stupid. Sabi ni Carlos Miguel, sa tingin ko nag-aantay mga tao sa moves ni Digong. Excuse me, gumagalaw na po si Digong. He is openly criticizing the government. It's time for us to also take our cue from him. Ano sabi niya? We have to criticize, di ba? Tuwan-tuwa nga ako nung narinig ko because I have been saying this for the longest time. I support this president, but that doesn't mean I will agree with all of his moves, that I will necessarily agree with all of his policies. I even liked the House Speaker before. But that doesn't mean that I approve of all his moves, his strategies, his tactics, the actions that are being taken in the House. I disagree with him showing that he's, it's my president right or wrong. What are you waiting for? Nagsasalita na po si Presidente Digong. Take your cue from that. Americans with their WPS interest felt the need to take Sara out of the picture when she expressed her disapproval of the Afghan refugees' request. I disagree with that. You know why? Hindi natuloy eh. Diba? Kung galit yung mga tungkol doon, ba't hindi sila nagagalit kay PBBM for not continuing with it, for deciding not to continue with it? Di mas maaasal sila sa kanya. Wala naman decision-making power ang VP dyan. Sayang talaga boto ko. Naniwala ako sa 20 pesos per kilo na bigas. Wait. To be fair to the president, yung 20 pesos na yan wasn't intended to be consumer's price, but the price that we would pay the farmers for the palay. At to be fair, I think inaabot naman po ng NFA yan. NFA. Sabi ni Juanita, yes, we have to be the opposition. So be it if we have to be. Pero like I keep saying, we criticize because we are part of the decision-making of this country. We have to criticize when we see that our government is doing something wrong. If they are heading in the wrong direction, we have to tell them. But all criticism must be fair, which is actually more than what the trolls are doing. Kasi tayo, we criticize, may basihan. We try to be fair. Hindi, as much as possible, hindi na may personal. Pero anong ginagawa ng trolls nila? Personal lang talaga yung attack. Pati yung mga puro ad hominem, puro, mga ganong klaseng kachipan na arguments, those aren't even arguments. Dear Marsadsad, I don't think that I am even that important. Why would they want to do that? Hindi po ako katulad ng ibang mga tao dyan na nag-i-imagine na whatever it is. There are people who know that they're being monitored because they are important. Because they have such profound influence. What little I have, I don't think that it merits that kind of attention. Hindi po ako yung type na tao who would overinflate yung mga I remember before may isang vlogger na, "Hi, sinabi ko yung ganito. I'm sure wina-wild tap na ako." Sabi ni Eufemia, mahal talaga ni VP ang DepEd kasi pag VP lang siya, sana, wala na yung I love you, Apo. Sana tayong mga nagmamahal, wag bumitiw kay VP. Alam mo, Mood, halatang halata na hindi ka nagbabasa ng saligang batas. Wag magbayad ng buwis. Time-honored tradition na yan as civil disobedience. Kaya nga yung mga ano dyan sa, ano, sa buwis, nawe-waive yan. Hindi mo ba alam? Kaya mag-waive ng BIR ng mga fines and penalties and all that. Pati surcharges. Hikayati ng military. Anong sabi dun sa ating saligang batas? The AFP is the protector of the people and of the state. Bakit hiwalay ang people dun sa state when the state is composed of sovereignty, government, territory, people? Bakit kasama pa ang people dun sa poprotektahan ng AFP? Because the AFP can't protect the people when it is the state that is oppressing them. Ang panan nila, yung responsibility nila. The president can say that. Because it's in the Constitution. Hikayatin na trabaho ng COA at ombudsman na hindi naman po tayo ang hikayatin ng military na gampanan ang trabaho ng COA at ng ombudsman. Well, what kind of protective mechanism did you suggest? Besides, you're putting words into the former president's mouth. Sabi ni Ray, whoever is orchestrating this has been planned for a long time. No, actually. Mukha na foolproof na nila mga galawan nila. Hindi po. Kasi natigil sila eh. They wanted an impeachment but they didn't push through with it, or at least they're denying it now. Bakit? Because they heard what's going to happen. They heard the angry outcries. So hindi, kung planado ito, then they would have planned even for that. Sabi ni Ma'am Lloyda, yung kritisismong walang basihan, paninira lang. Ibang kritisismong nagtutuwid at nagtuturo ng tamang direksyon. 2016 versus 2022 campaign, inaabangan ko speech paulit-ulit si Digong kahit minsan nire-replay. Kay BBBM after speech ni Sara at kanta ni Andrew E. lipat agad ako ng channel. Uy, grabe ko. We must support the government and just decision. Di ka nagbabasa ng saligang batas, ano? Yes, but supporting the government doesn't mean that we say, my government right or wrong. It's my country that we are protecting here, not the government. Because sometimes the government goes against the interests of the country, and that is why we have rights under Article 3 of the Constitution guaranteed. What do those rights say? The freedom of speech, the right to petition for redress of grievances. Please read your Constitution before you make any statements like that. Ito, si JM naman is bringing up Senator Raffy Tulfo might file a libel case of small vloggers. I haven't read that one. FPRD and VP Lenny nga hindi pinansin ng small vloggers na mas below the belt pa ang paratang. VP Lenny considered it. Yung Philippine Development Plan ng admin ngayon mukhang hindi matutupad dahil sa mga nakaupo na sariling interes lang iniisip, especially yung mga nasa gabinete ni PBBM. Ang ganda pa naman ng plano sa halip na ito ang pagtulungan, pamumulitika na ang inaatupag. Sabi ni Andre Bonds, alam mo, I disagree with you. Sabi niya, nako, noon pa tayo ngawa ng ngawa sa system ng bansa, bababa na ang anghel sa langit, hindi pa rin magbabagong political system ng Pilipinas. Yes, but that doesn't mean there haven't been changes. That doesn't mean that we hadn't had sudden, leaps forward. It doesn't mean that all is lost either. Kasi naniniwala kayo dun sa mga taong nagsasabi na a change of system is the answer to all our problems. Of course not. The answer to all of our problems is our change. Tayo, yung taong bayan ang magbago. Magbago ka ng sistema kahit 10 milyong beses. Sabihin pa natin na I can tell you what the justice system is like. I can tell you what the rules are. But, kung hindi rin tayo nagbabago, kahit anong sistema yan, hindi yan magiging foolproof. Kita mo nga tayo bawal ang conflict of interest sa ating mga legislators, pero meron pa rin mga legislador dyan na gumagawa ng batas that directly benefit their businesses. Tigilan ako na nasa sistema lang. Di rin tayo pa nagbabago, but that also doesn't mean that we haven't been making any inroads. We got it right. We voted for a president who actually did something for the people. Naiusad niya. Meron siyang awa kahit paano. Hindi siya yung type na, kaya na yan para sa mga tao. Oh, kaya na yan. Pwede na yan. Hindi siya nagsettle sa pwede na yan. Nakatikim tayo ng tunay na serbisyo, kaya tayo nagkakaganito eh. Sabi ni Don, I think there's even bigger picture outside the box, an outside influence to take down the would-be opposition to a greater power behind the present admin. You're going to have to flesh out your theories. Sabi ni Rance, the release of De Lima on bail coincided with the impeachment plan and BBM's overseas trip. It was a grand plan. Well, it was a plan. I wouldn't call it grand, if it was. Yun, tapos sabi ni KFC, yes, si Lenny did. Di ba may mga lawyers for Lenny nga sila who threatened to file cases so ordinary citizens who criticized former FVP Lenny. Sabi ni Albert, ayan na naman kayo. Baguhin kaya muna natin ang sarili natin. Kasi kahit nga anong kaganda yung sistema na yan, kung mag-uupo kayo ng corrupted, wala din. Ano yung point? Ako hindi. I don't care. We can make the presidential system work. I'm partial to a unicameral parliamentary. Partial ako dyan. Although nakikita ko na may balance din between the Senate and Congress sometimes. But my point is this. Sino bang nananalo pag eleksyon? Yung may pera. Pagka may pera, nanalo ka sa eleksyon o pwede kang tumulong doon sa isang tao na makakaupo, yung mga interest nila yung sumusulong. So, ang sumusulong interest ng mga taong may pera, no matter how perfect your system is, kung pera pa rin ang magpapatakbo at mag-guarantee na may makakaupo ng mga taong magpapatakbo ng gobyerno natin, keber kahit anong sistemang ilagay ninyo. Sabi ni Rodolfo, Ma'am, good day. Yung resolusyon ng Senado at HOR na sertifikasyon lang ang resibo nila sa audit dapat baguhin, dapat maging totoong audit kagaya ng sa executive. Yes, gandyan na po tayo. Ideally yan, ang nagbabalanse sa excesses ng Kongreso ay ang ibang mga branches ng gobyerno. So minsan, pwede natin idulog yan sa ating hukuman sa Supreme Court kung yan ay constitutional at matanggal yan kung sakasakaling hindi. Pero nakakalimutan natin na may isa pang branch ng gobyerno, yung executive. At ang pinuno niyan ang ating Pangulo. Huwag po natin kakalimutan yung profound o bigat ng impluensya ng ating Pangulo sa ating House Speaker at sa Kongreso. Sa tingin ninyo, hindi ba't isang salita lang ng presidente para sila ay hindi matanggal sa pwesto, makikinig sila? Sabi ni Bog, hindi na mababago yung sistema na yan nakakagawian ng mga politiko na. Hindi rin naman ako naniniwala dyan. Ang sinasabi ko dito, pwedeng magbago, pero kailangan magbago din tayo. Pag sinabi ninyo, wala nang magbago, you're taking away the only hope of the people. Bakit hindi na lang tayo humiga? At mag-intay na may mahuhulog sa langit kung sasabihin niyo na walang magbabago. That means you're asking people to stop trying. At the very least, there still is hope kasi yan nga, meron tayong Inday. Andyan si Inday. Ang kailangan lang natin is to be heard. You're asking me why I'm angry? O pinapatid nyo lang yung momentum ko? Why aren't you angry? I'm mad. I am freaking angry. I'm angry because tigilan mo ako sa puso nyo, mabablock kayo yan. Why do you say things like that? They don't contribute to the discussion. I am mad and we should be mad. All of us should be angry. All of us should be hopping mad. Because imbis na gawan tayo ng solusyon sa tumataas na presyo ng pagkain, sa kakulangan ng kuryente, sa taas ng presyo ng tubig, baka sa susunod itatax na nila yung hinihinga natin, sa kakulangan ng trabaho. Anong ginagawa? Iisipin nila mag-impeach ng vice-presidente? Talaga? Ayan ba ang ire-reseta ninyo sa amin? So, 3 na. ayuda, press release, impeachment. Sabi ni Sugar Free, Inday openly professes how she loves him. Past tense. Did she say that recently? We kept speaking or acting on Inday's behalf when she felt otherwise or contented as she is now. If she continues to align with BBM, that's her choice. Magpapakabaliw siya kay, haha, bahala sila, but we must move as a country. I'm not happy on how they run this country. As a Filipino, I will continue to oppose their wicked ways, with or without Inday. Actually, may punto ka dyan, ha? Naiintindihan kita. The country, the Filipinos must win, not the corrupt elite. Totoo yun. Sabi ni William, ang COA takot sa Congress at Senate kaya hindi nila i-audit yan. Maybe. But it's not the kind of takot that you think. Sabi ni Hungry, I don't rely on the government. I know on my own I can contribute to myself, my family, and to the government. Wag maging pabigat, puro kasi ayuda Pinoy. Oy, wag mo naman lahatin. Ikaw ba tumatanggap ka ng ayuda? Ako ba tumatanggap ng ayuda? Hindi ka ba Pilipino? Wag mo naman yan, no? Sabihan ng mga Pinoy na walang na 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 masasama ang Pinoy. What are we doing this for kung ganyan tayo against our own people? Kung may mali tayong nakikita, itatama natin yan. And ang pinakamadaling itama sa totoo lang taong bayan. But we keep getting let down by the governments that we keep putting in place. Ito, naintindihan ko si Moses. Sabi ni Moses, I've been complacent na for many years na simula umupo si FPRT. Tapos ngayon, ito na naman, nakaramdam na naman ako ng konting kabusitan dahil sa nangyayari. Alam nyo, matagal akong activista, not in the conventional sense of the word. But I've always spoken against government when I would see that it was doing wrong. Kaya nga galit si Pinoy nun sa akin eh. Gusto niya akong pakulong. Challenge ko yung leadership ni GMA. Challenge ko kasi para sa akin questionable yung kanyang eleksyon. Di ako tumahimik nun. Pero nung nanalo si Duterte, sabi ko, wow, for the first time, di ko kailangan maging rebelde, di ko kailangan lumaban sa gobyerno para lang marinig, para lang may baguhin sila sa ating sa pangangalaga sa taong bayan. First time, parang akong nakapahinga. Marami kasi dito, hindi talaga ako kilala. Kinig kayo sa akin, pero hindi ninyo alam yung aking nakaraan. So, naalam ninyo all of the bad things, pero yung bad things na yun, bunga yan ng paninindigan. Bunga yan ng for all of those times that we had to stand up. Nagtatago din ako noon or din ako, hindi nagtatago. No, I never hid. Marami akong threats sa buhay ko kahit noon pa. Pinablish pa nga yung iba eh. Kasi on more than one occasion, sinundan ako. On more than one occasion, hinabol talaga ako. Kaya hindi ako believe dun sa mga taong nagre-reklamo at nag-i-imagine na they're so important na wina-wild top sila. Hindi po. Yung mga serious threats to national security yan yung mga mag-iisip. At noon, dahil kalaban ko, dahil ang mga pinoprotektahan ko ay mga tao na nag-question at lumaban sa gobyerno for principles, based on principle. Kasama ko dun sa targets. Marami nga dito eh. Dali-dali nila humirit. Di nila alam yung yung mga pinagdaanan ko and to think. Lahat yun para sa bayan. Ilang beses akong hinarang ng Intel services nun. Yan na yung mga trolls ha. Ewan ko ba, sasabihan na nila yung mga things like, palpak din naman si Digong. Bakit? Sinabi ba namin perfect si Duterte? Front and center, kami mismo nagkikriticize kay Pangulong Duterte. And you know why? Because he told us so. He said, pag mali sila, pag mali siya, magsalita kami. Tinanggap naman niya eh. Pero ang sinasabi ng mga tao, pinakulong mo nga si De Lima, ganyan. Bakit? Makatarungan ba yung sinasabi niya? Powerful si De Lima. She could say anything she wanted as long as she was in the Senate and speaking as a senator. Kami yung mga nagsasalita na walang ganong klaseng proteksyon. Pero kami ba, ginalaw ni Presidente Duterte, even if yung binabakbakan namin, yung mga closest people niya, di rin. Hanapin nyo. Again, I'm not here to criticize the President or to withdraw support or anything like that. Hindi, presidente natin siya. Nasa interest natin. Nasa interest natin ang mag-succeed siya. Eh, itong pag-aatake sa presidente, magsasucceed ba ang Marcos administration sa ganyan? Hindi, nilalagay nila sa peligro yung ating gobyerno. We can't let this happen, Tarkan. What we're talking about here is wanting a peaceful, yung excessive na yung excessive politicking, not good for the country. Lalong-lalo na itong ginagawa nila kay Inday. It's not even good for the country. Itong mga pagtatambak ng mga PR, ayuda, impeachment. Ano yan, sagot sa kahirapan? Ito yung mga gusto natin. Let's not lose sight of what's important. Pagkain, trabaho, bahay, titirahan, tubig, kuryente, internet, edukasyon. Ito yung mga basics eh. Anong nakikita natin? Kailan uusad ang mga transportation? Nakakaloka kayo. Transportation. Ilan ang trend? Na sana tuloy-tuloy na. Natuloy ba? Imbis na natuloy, naantala. At imbis na pagalitan yung nakaantala, abay, ayun, kasama ni Pangulo. Kailan andar yan? Kailan isa sa katuparan yung mga pangako? Protektahan si Inday. Kasi siya yung balanse dito eh. Alam mo, Stormy, binasa ko na yung mo, bakit mo inuulit yan? VP Inday kung ano yung magiging strategiya niya. Bahala siya dyan. Nakikita niya kung ano nakakaigay sa kanya. Suporta lang ang magagawa natin. Ano yan, hope? Mas mahirap yata baguhin ang kaugalian ng society? Hindi. Kaysa sa political system, maybe we should start changing the political system first. Hindi nyo nga alam kung anong babaguhin ninyo eh. Akala ninyo, pagka nag-federalism, sagot sa problema natin lahat. Hindi. Ang mga gutom, lalo pa rin magugutom. Hindi kakayanin yan. Hinabi na nga ni Pangulong Duterte, mahal yan eh. At ano sa tingin ninyo? Para baguhin ang ating saligang batas, sino ang pagkakatiwalaan natin hawakan yung pagbabago na yon? Hindi ba yung mga nakaupo ngayon? Paano kung naging Constituent Assembly ang Kongreso? Sa tingin ninyo, yung mga pagbabago na gusto natin, ilalagay nila? Di nga nagawa nung panahon ni Duterte na fully supportive siya eh. Ito ngayon, pipilitin natin yung ganyang klaseng because that's banging our heads against the wall in the hopes that we can, make a bigger hole. Hindi. And if ever, hindi po kasi talaga nag-work yung malalaking changes at a time eh. Start muna tayo dun sa mga sa mga mahalaga. Unahin natin yun. Nasa tamang kakayatan na ba yung ating edukasyon, yung educational system? Nakakakain ba tayo? Alam niyo yung si Maslow, yung how do you call this? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Sagutin muna natin yung basics. Pagkain, tubig, kuryente, need na rin daw ang internet. Sagutin muna natin housing. In fact, dun sa human settlements ni Mrs. Marcos dati, kasama pati ang arts sa pangangailangan. At alam nyo, another thing that you have to guard against, hindi gagawin madali ng gobyerno para sa atin ang magkaisa. Hindi nila gagawing madali ang pagiging magkaisa tayo. They will always raise issues that will further divide us. Halimbawa, yung mga dating kasiraan natin na we're always fighting among ourselves. Terms like Imperial Manila para magalit ang mga taga-probinsya sa mga taga-Manila. Pagka magkagalit tayo, sa tingin mo may unity? Di ba? Without that unity, wala tayong lakas. So we also have to guard against all of these things that tend to divide us. We have to guard against, even our own thinking. Naman yung mga taga Mindanao, ganito. Ay, yung mga Tagalog, ganito. Wala tayo sa lugar na para i-bring up pa yan. Bayan na tayo, iisang bayan tayo. Tama ba yan? Na paghati-hatiin tayo? Isipin nyo lang. The more arguments we get into is one more day that they're going to survive. Do we really think we can afford that time? Yan, sabi ni Tana doon, good point. Kung babaguhin ang Constitution, ang unang magsusumikap na mapabilang sa komisyon, kung makalusot man si Trillanes, De Lima, Ontiveros, Diyos ko, sasama ng mga sunod-sunod, at Drilon na masaya divided ang mga Pinoy. I'm not sure if it's just them or if it's really them or anything like that, but certainly, yung mga effects ng pagkaka-divisions natin, tumatama yan sa atin. Alam mo, Lawrence, isa pa yan. Naniwala kasi kayo dun sa mga propaganda na 60-40. Binasa niyo ba yung saligang batas? Saan yung 60-40 dyan? Hindi po lahat ng negosyo 60-40 ang requirement. Hindi nyo ba alam yan? Manufacturing nga, pwedeng 100% foreign owned, pero may pumasok ba? Yan pang isang divisionan. Akala natin kailangan amyendahan ng Constitution para umigi-igay ang buhay natin. Hindi, maraming umigi ang buhay, the Constitution notwithstanding. Kaya lang karamihan sa kanila mga politika. Basahin niyo muna. Ilang beses na namin in-explain yung 60-40 na yan. Hindi po lahat. At saka meron ng Public Service Act na bago. Hindi na nga po kailangan, hindi na po hadlang yan. Tandaan ninyo, wala na yung hadlang na yan, pero wala pa rin nangyayari. Nagsisalesman na ang presidente natin sa iba't ibang bansa, naghihikayat na ang mga tao mag-foreign direct investments dito. Ano nangyayari? Puro pangako, puro pangako. Yun nga yung press release ni Chaleco eh. Wow, ilang trillion na ang mga pangako, ay, ng mga pledges, ay, ang mga investments dito. Ilang kusing na ba nakita natin? Kita mo tong si Chupel at never mangyari yan magkaisa. Kasama ka kasi dun eh, sa mga naghihikayat ng divisions. Yan, sabi niya. Natuwa din ako, Ma'am Luz. Sabi niya, natuwa ako sa statement ni Digong na without dissent, there is no democracy. Tagal ko nang sinasabi yan dito. I'm hoping nakinig siya. But nevertheless, di ba? Kailangan natin yan. Kasi kahit panahon ni Duterte, pinayaan tayo mismo, ako mismo, kung hampasin namin yung mga ilang polisiya niya, kung hampasin namin ang mga cabinet secretaries, meron pang original chaleco dyan. Tapos may chaleco, 1.1 doon sa kanya. Meron pa, nagprotect ng oligarkiya, nagprotekta ng mga nagpapakasasa dyan sa tubig natin, prinotektahan. Kulit ng kulit ang presidente, delay naman sila ng delay. Okay, so maraming salamat sa pagsubaybay sa rant kong sa live natin itong araw na to. May nagagalit ako. Samantalang dati naman may nagagalit na hindi daw ako nagagalit. Meron naman nagagalit kasi kalmado daw ako. Meron nagagalit na bakit galit ako. So, sige na nga. O, hindi lang si Dominguez. Siya yung may 1.1, may 1.2 pa. Okay? So, more rants to come. Tandaan po natin yung lesson learned na natuto din ang Kongreso dito, pero that doesn't mean they're going to stop trying. They think that they're in power and they can think that they can do so many things, but they should remember one thing. Walang ginawa si VP Inday to deserve this kind of treatment, and we will stand for her. The same way that the president asked us to stand with her. The same way that the president asked us to vote for her. We're just continuing what he asked us to do. He might have changed his mind. We haven't. Lilipad ang agila with our help. Maraming salamat sa pagsubaybay sa live nitong araw na ito. And huwag pong kakalimutan like, share, follow, subscribe. And padala naman kayo ng I Support Inday sa kanya, sa page niya, sa ano niya. May page siya sa Facebook. I think meron siyang YouTube. Ganyan pa man. I think she will want to hear all these statements of support. Maganda rin siguro na naririnig ng Kongreso yung pagsuporta natin sa kanya. Yan. Thanks, sabi ni Malet. Thanks din. At tuwa ako dito kay Malet kasi hindi siya talaga pikon. Maganda yung mga comments niya. Binabalanse niya ako eh. Ay, sorry kay Greg. Kakalagin lang daw niya. Tapos matatapos agad. Sorry naman, kanina pa ako dito nagsasalita. And yes, don't forget. Don't forget. We deserve better. We require our governments to strive harder, to strive for more because we deserve better than whatever it is that we have right now. It isn't much. But every time that government makes it better, it's not something that we simply celebrate. We deserve that. We deserve everything that comes to us, particularly everything that we expect our government to do by way of services and infrastructure. We deserve better. Hold the line, hold true. Diba? Hold the line sila, hold true. We're okay, guys. We're okay. But be heard. Don't forget, be heard. Last word comes from, let me see, sino magaling? Sabi ni Sunny, we love you kasi you don't invalidate other opinions and emotions. More power to you. Yes, I hope that that people understand that I will engage you, but not invalidate. We will engage though. Infested Jones, Soliano, I think education talagang political consciousness ng mga Filipino need magbago. Yes, kay Soliano, that's the last word today. Education is key and we should also help in the informal aspect of that. Maraming salamat. We'll see you again soon.